Greetings, fellow souls. In this video, we're going to be having a look at these torches that my mother bought. She bought 2 of these, and they've recently failed on her. I don't know how far they lasted before the failure began to kick in, but they're branded Lightway. They have a registered trademark. I think she bought them in Aldi. Is it Aldi supermarkets, or was it a little... Nowadays, it's either one of those 2 supermarkets. There wouldn't have been any others. Anyway, one of them had broken circuitry. Right, so it works like that, but trying to get it to work on the other lens, it's not going on. It's only working that side, not that side. And the other one would be working, but then we've just gone stuck the finger in and the button's gone through. So I figured, hey, why don't we do a teardown? Yeah, another teardown video, because it's been a while since I've done any techie videos. So this idea, we're going to open it up. We've got a soldering iron there. We're not going to touch that because it's already plugged in. Okay, so we're going to open up this one as the button's fallen through. We don't have the grips on that. So we're actually going to open the other one first because we want to show how you need to get these blue grips off before the actual unscrewing can take place. I'll just remove these batteries from the chamber. Do I work dangerously? I guess I do a little bit. Bit of the mad scientist, I guess, Keith Robertson. Right, so we've got those. We've got 5 screw holes. We've got 2 up here, we have 2 down here, and we have 1 in the middle. Sweet and simple. What's not so simple is the removal of those blue grips on the side. One of the things that's kind of handy about these torches is that they have this little magnet on the side, so you can just simply take them out like that. You carefully get this thing off. You just stick them like that so then they just don't get lost. I like that. That's just really handy. Unfortunately, I can't really add any of the screws of my own brain on there because I lost those far too long ago. I know, it sounds as though I could have graduated from the Boeing School of Engineering. Okay, now maybe we should actually conclude a bit of wise philosophy that I may have recently learned from somebody, that if all things are designed to fail, then let's just think of it as this. How far does it go before the failure kicks in? And that's, of course, what I asked just a few minutes earlier in this video, just before we began the teardown process. Okay, so we have the screws on like this. We are going to put these in a place of safety. And then we're going to pry these blue grips off. When we also have this kind of issue as well. What we need to do, we need to get a flat object, such as one of these pen knives. You need to be really careful with these. If you're not to be playing with knives, however, you probably won't be able to use this. You'll need to find maybe a strong, thin plastic object that you can use to pry them off. And you just see, you won't probably see very clearly here because I'm using a very low resolution setting for filming this video, but there are some areas where there's a very visible gap and some areas where there's not. Anyway, some of the areas where the gap is more visible, you can slide the knife underneath. And very, very carefully pry it. And what I'm doing here is extremely dangerous, so do take my warning seriously, because there's no way I can be deemed responsible for any injury that might occur from imitating this video. There we go. Of course, when it does come off, it may come off rather unexpectedly, which is, again, I will repeat this for the sake of your safety. You need to be really careful when prying things off using knives, because you just don't know when the object might just then just give away. And there you go. And I'll tell you something, they're strong old things, these grips. You have a look at the way that the teeth are engineered on them. It's big, thick slabs of plastic. And over on this side of the torch, it's going to be kind of weak. You've just basically got a load of ledges that they hook onto. But they still seem to click into place, even if they might seem a little bit broken. It's otherwise absolutely impossible to get these off. But once you've got them off, and owing to the fact that you've released all 5 of those screws, the 2 halves will just lift away like that. You may also desire to lift the foldable handle away. Which also has 2 magnets on the bottom, so you just want to watch out that they don't stick to something that you don't want them to stick onto. Right, so here we go. This is the repair job that I attempted to do on this. For the most part, it does work. One of the first problems is with these, if that button over there breaks, it's probably because the circuit board is so badly made that the card just breaks. You might actually see there's a teeny tiny little fine line of circuit there, just a little bit of PCB, and I bet you can barely see it. So what I've had to do, I've had to bolster it by cutting some cocktail stick or toothpick and glue it along there to give it some substance, because it just breaks. We've got 2 screws there, and you can use that to release that, and then you'll have your switch. Okay. We undo this. Just replug my iron back in. Screwdriver. My other screwdriver, as you'll probably see, that I've got a whole myriad of tools here. Yeah, a few of those may have surprised you. I do apologise for the low quality of the low quality resolution of the video here. I'm just trying to save space on my phone because I've not organised things, and things I don't really want to comment on my personal life, which is what you would obviously expect. But things have been kind of tough. Lots of different people that I'm dealing with and being really indecisive about things that they want to do. Right, so now we have that out of the way, we'll see what kind of switch we have on the circuit here. Okay. Well, this is already kind of hot, so I must have left it unplugged for not very long. Okay, so just safety. We will have a good pair of tweezers. I'm going to just carefully desolder this board away from the wires. Okay, that's one. And then we'll have the 2 battery terminals desoldered. And there we go. Right, that's the batteries removed from that. And then of course we're just going to gently desolder the wires from the switchboard. As you see, there's 3 red wires and 1 blue wire. The blue shares a terminal with the red wire on the left hand side, and then on the right hand side we just got the next short red wire and then a long red wire. So yep, easy peasy, if I say so. Right, let's put the iron in a safe place. Safe, so it's going to get in this madcap studio where I film this, God knows what you call video potpourri. Right, and so we're going to have a look at the switchboard. Maybe a little warm to the touch, so be cautious if you touch any soldering points that you've just messed around with. Okay, so the switch that we have on these boards is something rather like, it's 3 prongs. You've got a prong here, a prong there, and your neutral. And basically these switches work. It's a little rotary dial inside the switch. We can carefully pry it open and take a look inside. You see that there's a little bit of a gap here. Again, low quality resolution of the video isn't exactly helpful, but anyway, there's a little gap in there. If you've got a really flat screwdriver like this one here, you can press under there, gently pry it open, and do the same thing again on the flip side. Been a little bit tricky, but we're going to get there. Vic's not going to fail us on this one. He needs to get a torch repaired for his poor mum, who's, well, she needs a torch. Simple as that. Oh dear. We will have a look inside the switch. This one just wants to be a little on the tricky side. There we go. Right. Switch. There's a lot of components inside the switch, so when you do decide to open one of these up for the sake of your own curiosity, bearing in mind there are more components in there than you'd probably expect. Most of them are not actually bonded either, so they can fly everywhere, especially if you've actually desoldered it from the circuit board, which I have not. Right, okay, so we've got the main plastic cap. We've got a secondary plastic cap underneath. We have a metal dial that lies underneath there. And we have a small spring that lies under here. And of course, our 3 simple terminals. Now the idea of this is, as you remember, there's 2 different modes on the torch. There's a small light mode and a large light mode. And the idea is that this dial with its prongs is designed to have a connection between this prong here and that prong there, but each time you press the button it actually causes it to rotate due to these sawtooth spikes on the plastic caps, so that every time you press the button this dial keeps rotating. So I'm just dropping things. Yeah, you get the idea that it just rotates, so it switches between the big light mode and the small light mode, and that's how it works. It's simple in theory, but it's kind of an interesting thought in engineering. And of course you have to be careful when you put it all back together, because you have to make sure that the two prongs on each side, the left and the right side of the metal dial, are also in alignment with the longer prongs of the smaller plastic cap that lies beneath the larger plastic cap. So if you put the switch back together and none of it is actually clicking like it should, it means that you have to realign all the teeth together. And likewise, you'll see that on the larger plastic cap we also have 4 longer prongs that are longer than the other 4 prongs, and these also have to be in alignment with the side sections of the dial, the nodes if you like, that actually establish the connection between the points. So you get all that together, and then underneath the metal dial you have to pop your spring in there, and then this spring goes on the little spigot in the middle of the switch bed. And then at this point you're just going to have to carefully put your micro switch sandwich back together by putting the outer section of the switch shell together again. Now this doesn't require a screwdriver or anything, it just requires very careful alignment of all the plastic sections. You do have to be really careful with this, because if it's not all fully in alignment you could run into some rather unexpected trouble. And it just pushes back like that, and if you got it right it will just click like that. When you actually press it with your thumb like that, you'll actually feel it rotating under your thumb. You'll actually feel the rotation. That's why it's switching between the modes of on little, on big, and off. It's kind of a clever idea in itself. Right, so what we're going to be doing now, we're going to be doing a switch transfer, because as we will remember that the other torch is, well, the switch is completely busted. But thankfully, when I experimented with these, I'd actually forgotten to put the blue grips back on, so we don't have to mess around with that, and we can just undo it. That's good. Okay, we've got these off, so now we're gonna open up this travesty. Oh my gosh, the circuit board has actually snapped in half. Oh, it's gonna be bad, but I didn't know it was gonna be that bad. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna be a bit more hopeful on this. More of this desoldering fun. I do like a bit of practice with this, because I've been doing soldering work for must be less than a year now. I don't do it on like a weekly or even a monthly basis, so yeah, I'm actually quite happy to like repair things for other people. I mean, simple things like this I'm happy to do, because I always appreciate the extra opportunity to practice my soldering iron skills. Yeah, it's going to be easier now because the iron's going to be like really hot. Good stuff. Okay, we can see that this board is actually broken in half, so is to shocks and horror. Yeah, I think I'm starting to feel a little bit more confident in using soldering iron. I suppose 26 years old wasn't too late to learn to use one of those. I wanted to use that when I was about 13, but my gosh, there were complications in the way of that. Well, still never too late for these things. Okay, should have this underway. And unfortunately, this is going to give us the idea of how solid the circuitry is on these Lightway torches. Broken. I mean, I don't know how long the other one's going to hold out for, but the fact that this is really, really broken, I haven't got very high hopes for it. That's totally busted. I mean, yeah, we can try and glue it together, but if you're going to be using your thumb to keep pressing the switch like that, it ain't going to look good. No, not even the slightest, so. Yeah. Oh, well, there you go, you have it like that now. The only other thing I'd suggest is that if you had some really stiff pieces of metal, you could probably make a framework and glue it upon that. That'd be another option. But I think that's something we could save for another video, really. So I've actually got bits of this circuit board. It's actually crumbling all over my fingers, so you want to watch out for splinters with that. Nasty. Now, if this doesn't last out, then these torches are just ruined. Okay, I'm gonna pop this one in. So yeah, we've got this one that's got the good bulbs but the broken button. The other one has just got like dead bulbs, but it's got an okay switch for the time being. As I say, I don't know how long it's going to last out though before it catches up with the other one. So that's actually what happens to them. Yeah, I'm surprised, really. I've come across some rather iffy quality video game controllers in my time, but these were bought brand new from the supermarket, so yeah, one could say that the elements really got to them. Go easy on the screwdriver business here, because any pressure that you apply to the circuit that could cause imminent failure. I think one of the things that's really not helpful is that they decided to put 2 screws there, but they didn't add a third one down here for stability. So you're continually pressing it, you're putting all this pressure where the 2 screws are. At some point it's just going to snap at these 2 obvious weak points. Why'd they do that? Oh dear. I think it could be the mighty corporations up to their usual dirty tricks of making you buy more of a product that otherwise could have lasted you for some time with okay build quality. Right, so we're just gonna solder these wires back together. Like I said, yeah, this short red wire here goes at the first point. This longer red wire goes over here on the second point, and the third point is shared by the second red wire and the blue wire. And of course, when you connect the battery terminals, blue goes there, just like the first blue goes on this side and the other red goes on that side, like all the other red wires. So it's easy enough to remember, but I do recommend that you take a photograph of things before you disassemble them. That is the sensible thing to do for anyone who's experimental in their disassembly practices. Of course, when I began taking electronics apart when I was about, I think I was about 13 or 14 when I started doing something like this, a very long time ago. I didn't have my own camera, so I'd either have to draw out a loose diagram of what went where, or be completely reliant on my own memory, which is that's going to be subjective to a lot of different outcomes. I wouldn't really know if there was any sort of ASMR quality to watching someone do soldering work like this. Just turn this light on. That would be really helpful, wouldn't it? Maybe even sensible. Okay, being sensible isn't the first thing people will associate with me. But I can be very resourceful. The only saving grace to my lack of sensibility at times is being very resourceful. I will not let you down when you're in an extremely tough spot. Especially as far as electronics go. There we go. We've got the 2 points soldered to the first terminal. Got all that hooked up. Good, 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 good. Right. And so next we're going to have one of these battery compartments soldered on. Pardon me. Sorry. Don't feel great. Feel like really indigestic, which wow, that's just everyday me. Always feeling indigestic. I'll go for the other one. The wires are in better condition. Reasons that seem rather unknown to me, it seems as though that particular terminal has lost a lot of its solder. It's not like I actually know where any of it's gone, but it's begs the question as to where he's gone. Okay, if you're not feeling very confident in the soldering points, you can always just add a little bit more of that. Usually won't go much amiss. That'll do lovely. Thank you. With a bit of luck, if we add some batteries to this, we'll have a working torch. Let's give them a run. Okay, batteries are falling apart quite nicely. Okay, none of this is working at all. That's cool. None of this is working. You're not going to actually say that maybe the long wire goes... I think I've actually gone two of the red wires wrong. Let's try that. That's completely dead. Wow. Last thing I was expecting. It's just some incredible stuff. Do we have a good connection between the terminals? Ah, okay, we have life in this section. Right. But we still don't have life in this section. Although I believe we can get life if we establish a connection between I think these. Okay, so we have this. There's something actually up with the switch, not the board itself, but the switch that's attached to it. So I suppose at this point we'll just remove the switch from the board and swap it over with the one from the broken board. But these switches, these rotary switches, are kind of iffy. If you press the circuit board up as much as you can, you'll see that it's not establishing a contact. And this is actually another problem in itself. So you get the overall idea, and you just, reassemble it. You want to just reassemble it. Let's pop this handle. Although we will do it this way. There are like these two notches here, and these squares go into those notches. So you just pop that back in, and then you just screw the two halves together, and then you just add those really awkward blue grips. So that's about it, really. That's how you tear down these awkward torches that are made with like some of the worst quality circuit components that you could actually shake a stick at, or shake a screwdriver. That's more convenient. So yeah, that's it for today's video. I think I'm just gonna have to keep working at this until I've got something working, because my mum's definitely gonna need a torch for tomorrow. Okay, so keep on rocking, fellow souls, and I'll just keep. I'll see you in the next video, of whatever that will be of interest at the video potpourri. Okay, so take care. Have yourselves a decent night. So I'm going to be on the tolls at 4 AM. And then with a bit of luck, you get to around about half hour later. You have this shining. You might just about get a little something out of that. That ain't great, but there you go. It's a result. It's different from where we began with.